Okie dokie dokie. We are moving on to the principle of gender. Okay? The principle of gender. And the axiom for it says gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Okay? What I got out of that is the aspect of gender is at work on the physical, spiritual, and mental planes. Okay, with the physical, think masculine and feminine, gender. Spiritually, masculine and feminine energies. And on the mental plane, masculine and feminine ways of dealing with things. Okay? From the physical or sexual to higher forms of generation, regeneration, and creation. That's how they work. They work in terms of generation, regeneration, and creation. I think it was the feminine energy video on my other channel where there was a mentioning of generation, regeneration, and creation. So this is what I was referencing, the principle of gender. Okay. Um, with generation, you're causing something to occur. With regeneration, you're promoting a cycle of something occurring. And with creation, it's about bringing about of a new thing. Okay. So think about a new tree coming into blooming, because certain trees, you plant them, but they take many years before they start producing fruit, or they take a number of years before they start generating a significant amount of leaves. So with generation, you're thinking of a new tree coming into bloom. With regeneration, you're thinking of an older tree blooming annually or seasonally. Because, in the spring it may flower, by the summer it's starting to fruit, and in the fall, it's the leaves and everything are browning and falling to the ground. Um, and in terms of creation, if we're using the tree example, it's a matter of a genetic variant of the tree with a different set of blooms or fruits coming into development. When we're using thoughts as an example, having a thought would be generation. Having a recurring thought or cycling through the similar thought, that would be regeneration. And creation would be having a new angle on that thought process. It's kind of like the scientific process. You have a theory that you're trying to prove, and you run through the different tests. The regeneration will be running through the different tests to prove this theory. But then you may end up with a totally different understanding once you've run through all your tests. It's the creation of a new understanding on how something functions. Okay? So I have a bookmark here. So let me see. If you would understand the philosophy of mental and spiritual creation, generation, and regeneration, you must understand and study this Hermetic principle. It contains a solution of many mysteries of life. We caution you that this principle has no reference to the many base, pernicious, and degrading lustful theories, teachings, and practices which are taught under fanciful titles and which are a prostitution of the great natural principle of gender. Such base revivals of the ancient infamous forms of phallicism tend to ruin the mind, body, and soul. And the Hermetic philosophy has ever sounded the warning note against these degraded teachings, which tend toward lust, lasciviousness, and perversion of nature's principles. If you seek such teachings, you must go elsewhere for them. Hermeticism contains nothing for you along these lines. To the pure, all things are pure. To the base, all things are base. And what that had me thinking about is a book I came across called The 10 Books That Screwed Up the World by Benjamin Weicker, PhD. Okay. The 10 Books That Screwed Up the World. And in this book, let's see, he talks about, let me see what the review says. These, okay, you've heard of the great books? These are their evil opposites. From Machiavelli's The Prince to Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto to Alfred Kinsey's Sexual Behavior in the Human Male, these influential books have led to war, genocide, totalitarian oppression, family breakdown, and disastrous social experiments. And yet, these authors' bad ideas are still popular and pervasive. In fact, they might influence your own thinking without you realizing it. Here with the antidote is Professor Benjamin Weicker. In his scintillating new book, 10 Books That Screwed Up the World and 5 Others That Didn't Help, he seizes each of these evil books by its malignant heart and exposes it to the light of day. In this witty, learned, and provocative expose, you'll learn why Machiavelli's The Prince was the inspiration for a long list of tyrannies. Think Stalin had it on his nightstand. How Descartes' discourse on method proved God's existence only by making him a creation of our own ego. How Hobbes's Leviathan led to the belief that we have a right to whatever we want. Why Marx and Engels' Communist Manifesto could win the award for the most malicious book ever written. How Darwin's Descent of Man proves he intended survival of the fittest to be applied to human society. How Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil issued the call for a world ruled solely by the will to power. And how Hitler's Mein Kampf was a kind of spiritualized Darwinism that accounts for his genocidal anti-Semitism. How the pansexual paradise described in Margaret Mead's Coming of Age in Samoa turned out to be a creation of her own sexual confusion and aspirations, and why Alfred Kinsey's Sexual Behavior in the Human Male was simply an autobiography masquerading as science. There was a reason why this book stuck with me when I discovered it at the library. because these are themes and ideas that we've been given or we've been taught over time. Social experiments had been conducted using them, and they have failed. And it has led us in a direction to be more lascivious, more perverse, more um, going against the grain of nature and what the Most High would have us do here as human beings, as whole, functioning, in line with nature, wholesome human beings. Okay. And so, you know, we are our brother's keeper. We are always connected to the Most High. We are responsible for taking care of the environment, living in harmony with the environment. But we have not been doing these things consistently. Just take a look at the headlines on any given day, any given week, and see the descent that humans have gone through, okay, are continuing to go through. And that lets you know the effect that these ideas, these types of ideas have. Um, okay, leading into the tail end of the Kabbalion. The next chapter talks about mental transmutation, and that's really more of a deep diving through the rest of the book because I think I've only gotten up to page 17, and that's 17 out of 92 pages. So the rest of the book is expanding on the mental transmutation and other subject matters that come along with studying the Hermetic principles. What does it say? The mental universe. I probably could keep going with the study. I was considering. It says the divine paradox. This could be a long, continuous study. I may continue with the Kabbalion, but I think this is a good head start, a good primer on a good primer for those who are in the line for this type of study. Okay. I set it up for you to have a general idea of what each aspect of it is about. And really, I want to set you on the path to completing the book yourself and doing more of your own research. Okay. Much like our relationships with the Most High are individual, we need to nurture them ourselves. Other people can't necessarily nurture it for us. They can give us pointers, but even their pointers may not be something that's effective for us in our personal relationship with the Most High. So I could read the book to you. I could translate or give you my interpretation, my understanding of what different concepts are. But it's really ultimately better for you to read it for yourself. So I'm going to end this study right here until I find my next book that I want to delve into. I hope you gained a lot of good information to get you started. I encourage you to continue on your study, not just with the Kabbalion, but with other texts that you may come across that expand your expand your ability to think universally. Okay. And with that, I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button and come on back. Hit the bell so the notification bell so you know when I post my next video. And until then, be well.